Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Movie Mess 101 video reviews. This is my third video. It is Tom Button, and I'm here to talk about today In the Heights, which I finally got to see last weekend at the cinema, which was very exciting. It's the first time I've been out in the cinema for, I can't remember now, months. Let's just say a couple of months. Yeah, so I'll preface this by saying that the cinema experience was just like an Odeon, like a multiplex. Um, yeah, it was really good to be back at a cinema. It was moderately busy. It wasn't too busy. I mean, it wasn't sort of like packed. And we went to a kind of an afternoon showing. Yeah, it was fairly it wasn't packed, as I was saying, but like it was fairly busy. And yeah, it was just back at the cinema is a weird thing. Certainly sort of after watching films at home for the past like year year and a bit, it's very sort of difficult to, or not difficult, but it's like weird stepping outside and going to a place in enclosed space. The whole operation was very safe. Every sort of all the staff were very sort of accommodating and were kept to sort of like all the rules. It was very, I don't know, it felt safe going into it, which I think is a really good thing. And I really like the fact that the cinemas are open again, and people just can go back to the cinema. So with all that out of the way, In the Heights, which is the new musical, um, produced by Lin-Manuel Miranda and directed by John M. Chu, who made Crazy Rich Asians, which did really well. This is based off of Miranda's first play or musical, which did quite well in Broadway. But I don't think it ever came over to the UK. I have to check that. But then he did Hamilton, of course, which is the big hit. Everybody, like everybody I've seen on like social media and everything. It's all Hamilton all the time, especially at its peak, which I went to see with the family a bit before COVID, I think. Yeah, I quite enjoyed it. So this is the adaptation of his first In the Heights. The basic story is that in Washington Heights in New York, there are people there who just want a better life. They have dreams, they have ambitions to move to different places and do something with their lives. And I think sort of the whole dreams thing is the main kind of driving force behind sort of what every character does in the film, what they feel, how they think, comes back to, this is where I want to be, this is where I want to go. And so it's fairly focused. You have some other characters include our main protagonist, Usnavi, who owns a bodega with his cousin Sonny, and just dreams of going back to his home of the Dominican Republic to start up his father's old bar, and just live there for sort of the rest of his life. And then there are other characters like Vanessa, who Usnavi is kind of crushing over. He doesn't know whether to go out with her or not. He's very shy, the whole relationship kind of thing in films. She wants to do something in fashion. And then you have another character, Nina, who has sort of come back to her hometown of Washington Heights after a long stay at a university. I think it's Stanford, but she didn't really sort of like enjoy it, and she's having sort of trouble coming back to her family and kind of saying that, you know, I've like dropped out because I want to do sort of this instead. And it's you know, it's sort of it basically revolves around sort of like three sort of main characters, or four if you include Nina's friend Benny, who we don't really get to know a lot about, but we do know that he's interested in Nina. And yeah, so it's a musical, first and foremost. Some people like that, some people really like that, some people don't. I'm going to preface this by saying that I am not a massive musicals fan. It's not my favorite genre, but I can be entertained by them. I kind of liked Hamilton on stage, which is sort of the first I've heard of Miranda's work, and then obviously this. But in case of sort of like, so the story is pretty sort of straightforward, kind of musical fare. It's you know, these people, of course, they have dreams, they'll do anything to accomplish them, and will, you know, just live. It's set during a heat wave, and it's always sort of noted that there's going to be sort of like a blackout like happening in 3 or 2 days. There's like a sort of a timeline of that. So it's really sort of, it's really warm at sort of like at the moment, which is making sort of like kind of like tensions, kind of not tension, but like just sort of people more you know, I guess wanting to move to their place or be where they're at more, I guess. I don't know. The best thing to say about the film is the music. I think that the music is really good, especially the opening track, and one which is set at a pool. There's and there's really good choreography as well. I think like the dancing with the music, and sort of it's all shot really well as well. I think sort of Chu and sort of his cinematographers and sort of his sort of production really sort of know how to stage a musical, and it's really vibrant, and so there's a lot going on all of the time. There's sort of people dancing, there's people you know, cheering, and it feels very alive. The second thing I really appreciated is the how it sort of focuses on, you know, Latin American characters, and sort of their kind of sort of like and their representation, which is sort of really important, and in today's kind of in today's industry and today's sort of society, really. And you know, it did sort of, you know, highlight, you know, new Latin American sort of talent, which is really fun. The strongest character for me, the strongest actor for me is Anthony Ramos as Usnavi. He is sort of, it all focuses on him, to be honest. And if you didn't have like a likable protagonist, then I think it would have fallen apart quite quickly. But he's very likable. He's very sort of charming, and you know, is kind of very not out there, but he puts himself out there and sort of help his community, and sort of help his family as well. And then I think like the second character I think that gets the most attention is Nina, because she has tension. She's come back from Stanford, doesn't really know her place. Thought that her place was in, you know, in university. Obviously it didn't work out, and she goes through a whole sort of like turmoil of trying to explain that to her family, trying to sort of come to terms with it herself, and just she's not in a sort of like a great position, to be honest. But like with sort of her friends that she knows, and you know, Usnavi and Benny, they're there for her, and sort of they're kind of they you know, she's she's all sort of like good. I would, you know, but I, in case of like the musical sort of elements, I really liked all the musical elements, and sort of how it all came together. I liked the characters. Um, I thought that, you know, sort of there were some characters that sort of they focused on that maybe should have been focused on a little bit more, but I could understand, like, it's a big cast and you don't want to sort of like focus on like everybody like all the time. But there are sort of like characters I would have like wanted to sort of know more about. Um, and it's difficult in a sort of a musical when everything's going at a million miles an hour, basically, to have those sort of like smaller sort of character moments. But this film is all about the big stagey stuff. It's all about the big numbers and the big uh, dances and music. And it does that really well. I think a lot of people have really enjoyed it. There's been a lot of good reviews out there, uh, all across the spectrum. And I think, when I watched it with the audience seemed to really like it. I heard some sort of like, sort of like humming and some like cheering in my screening, which is very fun. Um, but sort of like, but I didn't sort of. Here's the thing: I'm not sure, because musicals aren't my thing. I wouldn't go out to watch a musical. I wouldn't choose to, watch it. Like if it like it was like a sort of a movie night or something like that. I wouldn't say, oh, let's put on let's put on Hamilton, or let's put on, I don't know, Sweeney Todd or something like that. It's not me, but I understand people that do really like musicals and do sort of have watched them over and over and over again, which is fine. I'm just not that sort of like kind of movie fan, I guess. But what was here was good, I'd say. Um, there sort of are a few sort of there are a few sort of like niggles that I have with it, um, in terms of like sort of like character, and maybe sort of exploring a little bit more about of the character. Well, I mean, it's all expressed through song and sort of music, so um but like they do have like some sort of, it's all mostly dialogue, as is Hamilton. um there is quite a bit of like sort of like a bit of language for like a PG film. I think like it's PG, so there is some language, but like I thought like that language might have like had to bump it up to a like a like a 12 maybe. But like it is like few and far between. But the moments that it does happen, I was like, can you really put that in a PG film? I suppose they can. I mean, I'm sure like the censors had sort of an extensive look at it and got to their um, conclusion rather soundly. But like, I was surprised the amount of like that, like the amount of like, not soft language, not, obviously not like hard, you know, like hard language, because that would be a very different story. Um, but overall, I did enjoy myself. I think that the fact of being back at the cinema helped. Um, you know, and seeing it up on the big screen was much more of an experience. I think if I'd watched it at home, I think I think the thing would be certainly missing. And like, just being back in the cinema again is just like a dream. It's like, obviously, like we've been so we've been like in chats like indoors and have to watch sort of it on films and TV on our TVs, and it's not really sort of like the best experience. But like being back at the cinema where films should be played is a really sort of good experience. I really think that it heightened sort of my enjoyment of the film quite a lot. Will I watch it again? Maybe. I haven't watched Hamilton again. Maybe because that, but Hamilton felt quite sort of more. Hamilton felt more dense than this. I mean, of course, because it's about sort of history and sort of like retellings. This is it's just much more light affair, to be honest. I might watch it again. Depends on what kind of mood again. Again, I'm not a massive musicals guy, but I am open to it. I'm trying to figure out sort of my rating systems here again, and I gave Bo Burnham's Inside 10. I'll go to 5 this time. So and 5 will be what it is for the rest of it. So five fingers. I gave Bo Burnham like 10 because that's all the fingers I have, because it was amazing, but we'll limit it to 5. So I would give this film a solid, I think 4 out of 5. Yeah, I think, musicals, not my thing, really. But the fact that, it was entertaining. I was back at the cinema. There was a lot of it going into it that I felt quite excited by it anyway. The more, maybe even more, the prospect of going back into the cinema again had sort of something to do with it, surely. But it's harmless. It's very catchy. It's very sort of like musical-esque. I mean, of course, because it's a musical. There are some good tunes, some good choreography. A really great scene where a couple sort of dance on the side of a building. I thought that was very clever. But I won't get into that in case you haven't sort of seen it yet. So 4 fingers out of 5. And for a film, that I don't really go for usually, that's very good. And I'm glad that people are getting to watch this in the cinema now. I'm glad everybody's going to get to watch any film in the cinema now, which is great. Yeah, so 4 out of 5 fingers, and I guess that'll be it. So thank you very much for watching. It has been Tom Button. You can get my blog at moviemess101.wordpress.com. You can find me on Twitter at TomButton19. I'll put all the links down in the description anyway, so you can find me there. I also have a Twitter. Account for the blog, so you can find me on there as well. Get in touch. We can sort of chat movies, do whatever you want. No, it's been great. So thank you for watching again. And I will see you in another video. Bye-bye.